Hey, what's up, fellas? This is Nate Whitson with the Nate Whitson Show. So glad to have you. Today is a cool day to change your life, right? Like, it's the only day you get, and we say this a lot in our ministry here called Get in the Fight, that tomorrow's not guaranteed. We know that, and so we're trying to live each day to be better men, better husbands, better fathers, better followers of Christ. And if those are the things that you're into, then you might like this podcast, you might like this ministry. If so, go to getinthefight.club.com and learn some more. Check it out. There's lots of free resources and things for you there. But that's really kind of our mission. We're trying to help Christian men in particular to be the men that God meant for us to be. And in particular, we look at things like, how do we train ourselves to be godly? One of the things we say here a lot is that you don't try harder to become godly. It's nowhere in Scripture. But we see this idea of training yourself like a soldier, like a person who is committed to a difficult task. And you don't just kind of like hope your way there. And yet that was me. It's me at times still. It's probably you at times. It's certainly a lot of us as Christian men. And we're trying to bridge that gap here. We're trying to figure out how to align our behavior with what we say we believe. And this is the big disconnect that the world, hates, and maybe rightly so. This hypocrisy that they see in the church is real, and it's real in their life too, of course. But it's real in us. We can only control us or control ourselves. And so we're trying to figure out, like, how does training look? How does that work in order to be the men that we deeply want to be? And we're flawed, right? This will never be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not the one to follow. Christ is. I'm going to try to point you to him. But we are constantly trying to get better and align what we say with what we do. And so we teach a system here called the Start Super Small System. You can, again, learn more about that at getinthefight.club. But along the way, we're talking about behavior change. And one of the things I always try to tell people is that when Christians hear about behavior change, they think, well, look, self-help isn't Christian. And I agree. But the problem is that we don't spend any time talking about the training mechanisms because we want to focus only on faith and prayer. And those are critical, of course. I don't deny that. But where we find ourselves, and maybe you'll relate with this, is you're going to go, look, I've followed Jesus my whole life and I still stay stuck, right? Like, I'm so frustrated that, like, the obstacle to change for me isn't that I'm not trying hard. It isn't that I don't care. It isn't that I don't believe God can, but why am I not able to change? And so we're really kind of trying to take a real practical look at this from a holistic standpoint, biblically and brain science and the best of psychology and all of these things, and saying, look, God, you created our body, you created our mind, you created us, and you know what's best. You've given us your word. It's true from the first page to the last. How do we bring all of that together so that we can live the lives that you intended us to live? That's what Getting the Fight's about. That's why we're here. That's what the show is about. So again, if that's you, if you're interested in those things, click the subscribe button right now. That does a lot for us. It certainly helps us to show the algorithm of whatever platform you're on that this is a place to watch and share with others. And so you subscribing, you listening, clicking the notification button, commenting, sharing, whatever, that actually helps other Christian men get some of these things that you're coming here for as well. So we appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Today is a first of a two-part series that I called 10 Obstacles to Change. Why you're stuck and what to do about it. And so, when you've tried and failed over and over again, it's important that you don't just keep trying and failing and doing the same things, right? We call that insanity, and yet we're all stuck in that at times, right? We want to figure out today, maybe there's a specific thing that's in the way for you and I. And so today we're going to look at the first 5 of these 10 obstacles. And in the following podcast, you will hear the other 5, right? The idea here is that these aren't maybe necessarily the only obstacles, but 10 that I thought of, that I see often here, that I deal with myself, that we need to figure out, like, practical ways to, number one, address the problem and then find a solution. All right. So imagine this as we kind of get started in these 10 obstacles to change. Imagine that you're on a road trip and you're driving to a really important destination, a place that, man, it's like really, really important that you get there. Right. Along the way, though, you hit a pothole and you get a flat tire, all right? Maybe you've actually gone through this, right? You've got really 2 options at this point. You can either calmly pull over, change your tire, and keep moving, or flip out, get frustrated, slash all the other tires, abandon your car, and then just walk home feeling like a total failure. Now, again, nobody's going to do number two, I don't think, at least nobody I hang out with. But you might feel that way. But eventually you've got to like calm down, change the tire, and move on, right? But as ridiculous as the second option sounds, to slash the tires, abandon the car, right? You're just like, it's over. I'll never get there or whatever. Like, as stupid as that is, as stupid as that sounds, that you would just abandon the car, walk away, it actually, you probably already know where I'm going with this. It actually is the way that a lot of us treat failure in our own lives. When you're trying to change and you're trying to get to an important destination of change, right? Whether that's stopping smoking, or I know one guy that we're working with right now that's just like, man, my mouth at work, I talk, dirty, tell bad jokes, swear, curse, whatever it is. I'm trying to change that part of me. Pornography is a big one in our ministry, drinking, whatever it is, bad attitude. There's a destination of change that you're trying hard to get to. And many times when you hit the pothole again and again and again, we end up just abandoning the car. We slash the tires and go, you know what? This isn't going to work. I'll never get where I want to go. So rather than adjusting, we abandon it. Or in our minds, we think it's impossible to get there. So one of the things that we talk about here a lot is just this idea of like, motivation isn't the thing that you need. Getting to that destination is enough. There's a reward of getting there that would be so satisfying, right? Can you imagine this thing that you deal with in your life where you're just like, man, I am like stuck, no traction. I've been dealing with this forever. Imagine what it would be like to actually get there. A renewed relationship with your spouse or with your kids or whatever it is, right? Financial security. When you get there, it would be so worth it. It would be so worth all of the effort. But man, it's hard to get there. Change is hard. Life is hard. And the way that we get there isn't through, let's like get more motivated. No, it's through a better mindset and a stronger system. And that's what we look at here. So some of the obstacles, we're just going to quickly go through these today. But the first one I wrote down here was trying to do too much too fast. Have you ever gotten motivated to change, and then you go big, you get hyped and you're just like, man, I'm going to change the world. In fact, I'm going to change my world and then I'm going to change the whole world, right? Well, the problem with that is obviously that burnout follows trying to go too big. I think that happens for so many of us way too many times than we can count. It's like, again, like I'm going to, change my life. I'm going to get in shape. And so you start, really big and you're just like, I joined the gym. I bought a 3-year membership. I'm going to do CrossFit. I'm going to change it all, whatever it is, right? You go from like couch potato to picturing yourself as like the king of CrossFit challenges or whatever, right? You go really big. You're just like, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm all in. That sounds great. It sounds great. But when you try to do too much too fast, it actually can work against you, right? It's like this verse we talk about here a lot, Zechariah 4:10, do not despise small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. The system, again, that I teach is called the Start Super Small system, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The idea of when you start to change is that you want to resist going too big, too fast, too quickly, right? It's not that you won't eventually get to bigger goals or bigger change, but you need to be able to lower the bar. That's really the solution to this one. The obstacle is that you try to go too big, too fast. The solution is that you slow down. The solution is actually that you start super small. You focus on consistency, not intensity, right? When you go big, it's like, man, I want to be a runner. I'm going to start running a few miles a day. Well, then you get like shin splints and your legs hurt. Now you're like 3 days in and you just quit, right? It's just like too big, too fast is too much, right? And by definition, too much is too much, right? The goal, the solution is to lower the bar. And that's tough for a lot of us men to hear because we're just like, no, man, aim higher, shoot for the moon. We hear all these messages. I'm telling you that one of the obstacles that you might be facing, maybe the biggest one most of us face, is that we try to go, do too much too fast. We're trying to get into it too quickly. And just like we need to work with the rhythm of the way that life works. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I said, you don't know what you really want. And here's the problem. When you chase after a shallow goal that doesn't have enough depth, it just doesn't last, right? It's kind of like, somebody who says like, I want to lose weight. Let's just use that one because that's a big one that I deal with, that other people deal with. I want to get in shape. I want to be fit. Well, one of the first steps of our system that we teach here is this idea of like, what is it that you really want? There's like a R4 behavior framework that we use that I walk people through step by step. And the first one is to identify what's the thing that you really want. If you don't know what it is that you really want, then you're not going deep enough to find that intrinsic, motivation that will help you to get there, right? It's understanding the why. Maybe you've read Simon Sinek's book called Start with Why. It's this idea again of just like getting to the inner core. What is the thing that you really want? So like, for example, if I say like, I want to lose weight, the goal isn't that I lose pounds. The goal actually, the thing I really want is that I'd like to feel confident in my own skin. I would like to know that I can take on hard things and win. Like as a man, don't you feel like deep frustration with not being able to change because you're like, I should be able to do this. I hate that other guys do this and I can't. Like maybe that's not you, but that is me. Like I don't like looking out there and being average. I don't like saying like, man, this thing is too tough for me. Now, again, like there's some pride and ego in that can be in the way, but some of that's a worthwhile feeling. Some of it is good for us, and we need to figure out how to get to the core of that thing that actually would get you to show up every day. Remember in the last thing I had said, like the solution to trying to do too much too quick is to go slow, to lower the bar, and to focus on consistency, right? The idea here then is to add to that and say, get very clear about what it is you really want. What's the thing behind the, initial stated goal? You want to quit porn. What is it you really want? Well, I want to be a man of integrity. I want to not have to look over my shoulder and wonder if people are going to see that I'm a failure. I want to walk, closely with God, whatever it is. Start with the initial, like, this is my goal, but now go deeper. What's the heart level goal below that? It's like this scripture from Proverbs 4:23 that you should absolutely memorize. It says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it, flows from your heart. Well, what is your heart that he's talking about here? It's those cravings. It's those deeper desires. It's those things that you really want. Guard those things carefully. Figure out what those things are and be careful with them, because everything you do flows out of those. So again, point number 2 is we struggle to change because we don't really know how to identify what that really is. What are the emotions, the internal drivers that are deeper than the stated initial goal? Find that, and you will find more of this intrinsic push to show up every day and do the hard work. All right, number 3. I said relying on willpower alone. Relying on willpower alone. The problem with willpower is that it's limited. It fades throughout the day. Like maybe you've experienced that like every day, where you wake up, there's a certain point where you feel really strong, mentally good. You can take on harder things, but like, do you feel that way at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8? Like there's a certain point, right? For everybody, it's a little different, where energy wanes throughout the day, and some of us feel better in the morning, some in the evening. Doesn't really matter when. The point is you don't feel that way all the time, right? And so when you're relying on willpower, this exhaustible source of energy, then you're relying on something that isn't consistent or deep enough or strong enough to get you where you want to go. That's the problem with it. It's kind of like in Matthew 26:41, it says the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Man, isn't that true? It's like the example of a guy who's like, man, I'm just going to try harder, right? Well, when you try harder and that's the goal, you're going to keep falling back into the same old habits. If that's the only source of power that you're using is willpower, you're going to run out, right? Compare that to a guy who has a daily system that he follows, a routine. Like he puts blockers on his phone. He has a rhythm for when exactly he's going to do what, at what time, and in what place. Like who's going to win between the guy who has a structured, systematic way of thinking about life and doing the things he needs to, versus the guy that says, I'm going to just see how it goes, right? Like we already know the answer. So the solution to relying on willpower alone is like, stop trying to white knuckle your way to change. Build a system and align it with your identity in Christ, this deeper part of you, and then create a structure, I guess, that you can really lean on and count on, right? And if you don't know how to build that, if you don't know where to start, again, check out getinthefight.club and look at the resources and options and tools and things that we have there, because that is what we really focus on trying to help men do, is start super small and know exactly what steps to take. So if you don't know, we would like to help. If you don't want that, then cool, no problem. The goal, though, is to get structured. The goal is to think about your system, right? And align systematic steps that you don't have to think through, right? That's the key with this, is like, you don't want to rely on your brain to have the energy it needs to get you to move. Have a system, create rhythm. Those things will help you to get where you want to go. All right, number 4, one of the obstacles to change, why you're stuck and what you need to do about it, is because you're not making the habit that you're working on obvious or easy enough. See, like the problem for many of us is that you forget to do the thing that you said you're going to do, for many of us, right? It's like, oh man, I got busy. I forgot I was supposed to do that. Like, if you're trying to figure out how to implement something new and you don't have a good reminder in place, then you'll forget to do it, right? It's like the guy that wants to read his Bible, but he doesn't know when or where he's going to do it, and his Bible just ends up sitting unopened all the time, right? There's no rhythm to it. There's no structure to it. There's no easy way, no obvious way to go like, oh, there's my Bible, and here's when I'm going to read it, and here's the place I'm going to read it, and creating a systematic routine structure to that. Think about that versus a guy who puts his Bible, on his pillow every morning so that it's there when he sits in bed. Like in this scenario, I'm not saying this has to be the answer, but I wanted you to think about it. How do you make the new thing that you're trying to do to get you to change obvious, and how do you make it easier? Again, in this situation, the guy goes, I'm going to read my Bible today, but there's no plan for it. There's no system for it. There's no obvious or easy reminder in place, versus a guy who wakes up, reads his Bible before he leaves for work. He puts the Bible right back on his pillow, the place he knows he's not going to avoid. No matter what, at some point today, he's going to get back in bed. And when he does, it's obvious that he is going to be able to get to his Bible, right? It's easier for him there. I want you to think about this and think about, how can you make it easy? How can you make it more obvious, right? Think of this, like we teach something called after stacking here. After stacking is simply this idea of stacking on the new habit with an existing one. It's this idea of after I, wake up in the morning and put my feet on the floor, something I do consistently, routinely every single day, then I'll stack that motion, that idea, with the new thing. So for example, I have a prayer that I pray called the best day prayer. And it's just simply, God, thank you for a new day. Help me to make today the best day of my life. In Jesus' name, amen. Simple prayer, right? When I put my feet on the floor, I say the prayer. So after I put my feet on the floor, I sit on the edge of my bed and I say the best day ever prayer. It's called after stacking. And you can find a way to do that to make it obvious and make it easy. So think about your stuff. Think about how, if there's something in your life that you're just like, man, it's tricky to get the momentum that I need here, use after stacking to do that. Take this easy, obvious thing that you do, brush your teeth, start your car, put your feet on the floor, whatever it is, sit in your favorite chair, click the button to hit your coffee, whatever it is. Find those things and then stack a new habit with the existing one. That's called after stacking in our program. And I'm telling you, it makes it easy and it makes it obvious, versus trying to just remember and going like, oh, that's right, I wanted to read my Bible and I totally forgot to today, right? Make it easy, make it obvious, use after stacking to help you. Last one for today is number 5. And again, in the next episode, we'll cover the next 5 of these obstacles. But the 5th obstacle for today is this: you're not celebrating the win. You're not celebrating the win. And that could be one of the obstacles why you're not seeing change like you want to. See, the problem is you don't know yet that the brain craves a reward, right? When you don't feed your brain the man, that was good moment, if you don't give the brain what it wants, it doesn't know to connect the new habit and go like, ooh, that was great. I want to do that again. So like, for example, hopefully this idea connects this idea, but like if you've ever like tried to train your dog and you want to get him to go, let's say he's peeing on the floor. If you don't discipline the dog in the moment that it happens, he's not going to associate the thing when you get home from work and discipline him. He's going to be like, I have no idea why you're doing this, right? But if you do it immediately in the moment, all of a sudden that consequence connects to the thing you just did. Now, we're talking about celebrating, so maybe that's a bad example, but the idea is the same in terms of you want to celebrate quickly and have your brain go, gosh, that was great. I would love to do that again, right? When you do that, the new habit that you're trying to do starts to stick, and your brain just naturally is going to say, hey, where was that? And it's going to look for clues or cues or triggers or whatever it is you want to call them. The brain is going to be on the lookout for that because it wants the hit. It wants the feel good, right? It wants the celebration. So if your brain gets a reward, it connects the dots and says, man, I'm going to look for that again. And if your brain doesn't get that, then the habit that you're trying to change, the goals of yours, they just don't stick. And you may not even be thinking about that. It's like this verse in 1 Thessalonians 5:16 and 18. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances. Rejoice, pray, give thanks, right? It's these connections of reward and celebration that are so key, right? A man that starts a habit but treats it like punishment, he never pauses to celebrate. You know, a guy who does it like that, treats his habit roughly, it's not very fun. He hates doing it. That guy's never going to win. He's never going to win at that habit in particular, right? But another man that smiles, enjoys it, and his brain like triggers or recognizes it as like this really fun or like satisfying thing. Doesn't have to be fun. It's probably the wrong word. But if the brain finds satisfaction in it, it says, wow, that was great. And we start to go like, I want to do that again. And the brain actually starts working for you to help motivate you to keep doing it. The brain actually looks for it without you even thinking about it to go, hey, every time you do this, I like how that feels. Let's do that again. Now, again, that can work for you or against you, by the way. We talk about celebration that way. You can watch pornography and get the high of dopamine. It's an extremely high high. And the brain's like, wow, that was exhilarating. That was amazing. Let's do that again. Well, guess what? That works against you. So the brain is looking for that. It doesn't really care where it gets it from. It just wants that feeling, that dopamine, that hello, that was wonderful, that let's do that again moment. And when you can connect that to godly, helpful things, your brain wants to do more and more of that. So the solution is to build in simple rewards. Make your brain go, that was great. And it could be simple things, by the way. A smile. Like when I do my best day prayer in the morning, God, thank you for today. Help me to make today the best day of my life. Take a deep breath. And then I smile, this big cheesy smile. It's a great way to start my day. And it triggers this happy feeling. It triggers this, like I just won by starting my day like that. It triggers the satisfaction of several things. And again, it doesn't have to be any bigger than just a smile. But it could be, I have other habits where I'll give myself a high five in the mirror or do a little silly dance or whatever. Something to enjoy it, something to celebrate it, something for your brain to go, that was cool. That was good. Let's do that again. All right. So quick recap again. 5 obstacles. There's 10 that we're going to cover in these two different shows. But the 5 obstacles are that you try to do too much too fast. And the idea there is that you need to lower the bar, start smaller, focus on consistency, not intensity. Number 2, we said you don't know what it is that you really want, and you got to get clear about that. You got to go past the surface level and go a little bit lower. What is it that really intrinsically motivates you? Find that thing and then really hone in on that. Number 3, we said relying on willpower alone, trying to white knuckle it or hope that it's enough power to get you to move. Well, guess what? If you're stuck and not changing, it's probably because you're relying too much on it. It's not that willpower doesn't have a place, but it's not the solution. The solution that you need is that you need a system. You need a checklist that aligns with who you really are in Christ, and then a structure that can lead you to knowing when, where, why, in how you're going to do exactly what you're going to do. Don't rely on willpower alone. Number 4, we just said you're not making it obvious or easy enough. How can you do that? Well, just ask the question. How can I make this habit, this new change, more obvious or easier to do? And then number 5, you're not celebrating enough. You're not celebrating the wins. So immediately after doing it, do something small. Reward your brain with a smile, with a happy dance, with a feeling of satisfaction of some kind. And every time you do that, even if it's unconscious to you, when the brain likes it, it will look for ways to find that thing so you can do it more and more. All right? So now next week, we're going to look at the other 5 reasons. These are, again, 10 obstacles to change, why you're stuck, and what you can do about it. And I hope these first 5 have been helpful, but definitely stay tuned as we look at, 5 more ideas the next time. But again, remember that just like that story I told you in the beginning when the flat tire comes, don't just slash the tires of your life and say like, I guess I'll never get there. The goal is to adjust and learn. Maybe none of these 5 were it for you. Maybe none of these connected. Maybe one of them did. That might be the easiest place to start. But the goal is adjust. Start to learn. Put your head around the process of behavior change. Look for the obstacles and solutions, and then get to work doing those things. Learn to be consistent, right? My goal for you here is that I want to help you and me. And again, I don't come from a position of like, wow, he lives a perfect life. I don't. I'm simply in this journey with you, and I'm studying these things for me. Let's be honest. I'm trying to learn how to be the man God made me to be. And maybe along the way of sharing with you what I'm learning and where I'm failing and what I'm trying to figure out on my own, we can learn and do this together and grow together. We can learn how to break bad habits that have just plagued us for years. We can learn how the system of behavior change works and build better ones together. We can help Christian men get unstuck and change for good. That's the mission, right? So again, if you thought today's conversation was helpful, then you don't want to miss part 2 coming up next week. Be sure the best way to do this is to right now at the end of this podcast, hit the subscribe button before you move on with your day. Click the notification bell, though. That's key, because now you'll get notified whenever the next ones come, and then you'll not miss another episode. And lastly, if this is helpful, maybe send it to a friend directly. Maybe if you've got social media, maybe you share it there and just say, hey, check out this podcast. It's been helpful or really cool. All of that helps us to reach more Christian men. And that's really what we're here to do, is to serve and help Christian men become the men God meant for them to be. That's my prayer for you. That's my prayer for me. So listen, thank you. Appreciate you listening today. Have a great week. Stay in the fight, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here today and listening to the show. Please be sure to head over to the website at getinthefight.club. And before you go, if you haven't already, please subscribe, click the like button, and leave us a positive 5-star review. It makes a huge difference whenever you do. Have a great day. Go get in the fight.